Sitram viewers, and welcome to Swaha Hindu Perspective, a program prepared by the Dharmandal of Swaha and, of course, provides the opportunity for members of the national community and our Hindu brothers and sisters to be able to share their views on various aspects of Hinduism, Sanatan Dharma. Of course, you're invited, as we normally do, to ask you to send in your questions and your views, and of course, we will share it in the program. Today, once again, we have our senior Pandit, Pandit Gyandev Prasad, member of the Dharmanal Swaha, and we have Pandit Ishar Madhu Maharaj, president of Swaha. Welcome to both of you. As we begin, we join in simple prayer, so we ask you to place your hands together, close your eyes, and we consider upon that foremost, Gajanan Swami. Om Vakratunna Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumi Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada Om Shanti 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 Bole Shri Gajanan Swami Ki Jai.
Jai.
So Pandits, today we want to discuss a little bit about the periods that we have been observing. A few weeks ago, we started talking about Karawas, and of course it was indicated that during that period, we do not perform any Kamya Karma, we perform simply, our Nitya Karma, and of course, there were no Naimitya Karma. If following that immediately, there was Naimitya Karma in the form of Navratri, and then of course, this week we celebrate Hanuman Jayanti, and across the entire country, as we are all aware, that there are large celebrations that are celebrating Hanumanji in various ways through dance, play, chanting of Hanuman Chalisa, etc. And we can talk a little bit about that and the impact on that on Hinduism and, of course, establishing ourselves as a vibrant group. But as we get into the program today, maybe you can share some ideas, some perspective, based on what you see as necessary, not following a question, but really what you see as important to share as we came out of that period of Navratri, and we know across our temples throughout the entire country, but also in Swaha, that we would have had celebrations in the various temples, yagya, chanting, havan, etc., where persons would have been seeking that blessings of Divine Ma. So maybe Pandit Ishwar, we can start with you.
Thank you, Panaji. Sitaram to our viewers. So certainly we are just about concluding this period of Navratri. And one of the important aspects of Navratri, of course, is fasting and your worship to the Devi, Divine Mother. A majority of Hindus would focus on the worship of Durga Mata. And then there are others, of course, who worship Mahalakshmi Mata, Saraswati Mata. A lot of children we know are preparing for examinations. So a lot of puja throughout the country where devotees were, apart from Durga Ma in particular, may do Saraswati Mata puja and even Ganesh Baba puja during this blessed period. But apart from the worship of the Devi, one thing that I feel is needed more, not just here in Trinidad, but worldwide, that respect, that consideration for women in general. So we have seen it where we worship Devi Ma, but there are still mothers suffering, there are daughters suffering, there are sisters suffering. And as devotees, whether it's in your temple, in your community, in your home, I ask that we are always mindful of this, so that there are times, even for us as pundits, you may go to a home to do puja, and you realize the mother in that home is not happy, or maybe the daughter-in-law in the home is not happy because of various things, and we won't get into any particular issue, but there are various circumstances that may create strained relationships. I want to say that the worship of the Devi, worship of Sri Ram and Sita Mata together can help bring about, an ease and any friction there is between family relationships and so on. And this is one thing, Panajaya Panagyandev, that I've noticed, that yes, we are worshiping Devi Ma, but I feel that at times, and I'm not saying this across the board for all our viewers and your families, but I've noticed it recently, that we talk about freedom and equal rights and so on for women and for everyone, for men too, for children, but strong demonstration of that, ensuring that we really mean what we say, sometimes that is lacking. And we could explain further, but that's what I wanted to say for now, Panajayda.
Thank you. And before you pass over to Pandit Gyandev, Panditji, before the point slips me, I know that Swaha is hosting a cricket competition, and in that cricket competition, we do have, mixed teams of men and women,
Yeah,
etc. Do you see that as a, as a forward move,
of
to,
course.
to see women as equal and participate on the same team?
No,
So, being the
definitely.
president of Swaha, you can give some more insights on the reasons, etc.
So that competition is earmarked, is scheduled for June, it's June 30th, and I did say we will have Panitaroon on at a later stage where we could give more information on that. But certainly we want the women joining together with or men or young men, young women, or of any age really joining together to play. Showing that togetherness, that unity that's needed, creating, a stronger bond within the community and within the temple in particular. And even, as we talk about Navratri, is just concluding, we have Ram Janam. Remember, we also have the Ramayana singing competition. And traditionally, you would have mainly the women folk singing in the temple. Yes, you may have a few male singers who are, the exceptional singers, but the choir and the group normally is made up mainly of women. I'm encouraging the men to join with the women in the temple to be part of the group because we are saying that the choir should be a minimum of 5 and up to 30 people, right? And it's Ramayana singing, it's chanting, Doha and Chaupai, which we all love, and we are doing it for Prabhu Shri Ram. So another way in which we can have, this togetherness, this unity, but in a way show in a positive way, a very powerful way, um, that Swaha respects a woman, is Swaha Devi is this is what we are known by. And we would want the men to contribute meaningfully, joining together with the women for Ramayana and then afterwards for the cricket competition. Right, Pandit?
All right, thank you, Pandigandhu.
What are you talking about?
Well,
Women
just
in Navratri?
general perspective on Navratri, yeah,
Okay, okay.
Hanuman Jayanti, Ram
Yeah.
Navami.
Well, sorry for the loss in concentration there. Basically, Hinduism is the only religion that recognizes the rightful place of women in divinity and in society. And we make no apologies for that. We have to stop compromising our positions. If Hinduism says so and preaches that, we have to propagate it. We are the only person who can put a female form, Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Kali, Mahakali, Bhadrakali, and worship it. We are the only religion that does that. So that is kudos for us. And that brings me to the point that which we should not fall victim to Western civilization thoughts which are counteractive to Hinduism, and that is woman liberation and woman equality. This is my view based on scriptures. If a woman wants to be equal to a man, then she's bringing herself down. Women are called Devi. And if a woman wants to, women are here. A man is not born by a man by mistake, by arbitrarily, A woman is not born a woman arbitrarily, These are karmic actions. And a woman is more spiritual than men, generally speaking. But that doesn't mean to say they live up to it. So we ask them to live up to it. So as we begin, Hinduism does not believe in putting the woman in the kitchen. Hinduism does not believe in the woman being subservient, but they believe that the woman has a role and responsibility. As I said sometime previously, the cleaner in a business can't go and sit in the executive chair. Everybody has a duty and responsibility to do. So if they are more inclined towards motherly love, towards all these things like cooking and so on, which brings in real emotions. And food is a serious issue. What you think about while cooking, all those things affect us. So women have their responsibility. Now, I'm not saying that a man can help cook. That's not the point. But don't make it such a way that a woman must do certain things, a man must do certain things. They must only do what is assigned to them by the scriptures. So women and men are not equal. They'll never be equal. Men are always below spiritually than women. And that is a topic maybe you will find controversial, but the scripture says that. And I will ask, and here, if I pass back on to you, Panajayat. We have the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. I know no Brahma didn't create me. No Vishnu sustained me. My mother the one who had me inside of her for 9 months, who sustained me and brought me to soul. She's the Brahma, she's the Vishnu, she's the Mahesh. She is the divinity. This is what you have to see and understand. And when you come out, what you do is something else. That's our responsibility. But the role of the woman is so great that we can't underestimate it. Other people will put them in a corner, make them cover up, make them sit on one side, tell them you can't take part in this, can't take part in that. We have no restrictions for women. And I know people are thinking, can they be pundits? Can they be Swamis? Can the women do all the spiritual work? We dealt with that already. But in case there's any thing that's unclear, we can always raise these issues again. So Navratri celebrates the rightful place of women in divinity. And we have to make sure they get rightful place in society. Panaji.
Thanks, Pandit. And, just to draw some references from scriptures, we know the Katha of Mahishasura, and, the fact that, at that time, there's no one who could have destroyed him. The Devatas and the Devatas created this Adi Shakti. And of course, when she entered that battlefield, she was ridiculed, she was insulted in a vulgar way by Mahishasura. And unfortunately, in our society, if we use the analogy, we do have many of that, where we see, as Pandit Ishar mentioned, and if you just look at the news over the last few days, what do we see? Sometimes these things may trigger persons, so we don't want to say it in any way that can trigger anyone and their emotions, etc. But we see such disrespect to children, to females, domestic violence. We have high incidence of that. In fact, there are global studies where billions of dollars being spent to address this issue of gender-based violence. And the evidence will show that gender-based violence really affects females more than it affects males. And therefore, the message of Hinduism, when you look at it, is that of respect. And when we say equality, as Pandit Gyane was rightly saying, equality doesn't mean that we all do the same thing. But what it means is that there's equal opportunity, there's mutual respect for all persons, because we all have that divinity within us. And I think that becomes important. Devi Mahadesh Adi Shakti, when even the Devatas were not able to defeat this Mahishasura, she was able to do that. And therefore, it's an indication of the power of females. And in today's society, when you speak about equality, our sisters, our daughters, of course, they are demonstrating leadership positions, leadership abilities, and they're taking the lead in many instances. And maybe you can speak a little bit about that. Given that Swaha has a high incidence of woman leadership, and one such case we know presently is Ambika Madhu Maharaj, the Dharmapatni of Pandit Ishwar, who has now assumed the mantle of leadership within the Swaha Hindu College. And maybe that's one starting point. And we can look at all of the other centers and temples and look at how the women, they have taken that leadership moving forward. So Pandit Ishwar?
Yeah, definitely, Panditji. And before I forget, I don't think we said it in the beginning. I want to say Shubh Navratri and Naya Varsh ki Shubh Kamanai. Remember, this is the Hindu New Year. We are in Vikram Samvat 2081, right? So which is something we want to remind people of, just to show you the greatness of Sanatan Dharma, that we are ahead. So just as Pandit Gyandev is saying, as far as our Sanatan Dharma tells us, women are exalted and men actually have to work to catch up. We always have to give that respect, adoration to the Devi. In Sanatan Dharma, we are actually ahead of what the Gregorian calendar says, 2081, right? So best wishes to everybody for a successful New Year. It would have started, of course, on the 9th of April. But as Panajaidat is saying, yes, we have a number of examples of women, and I could, apart from those that you may know in your own workplace, in your own community. Yes, we have Ambika Madhu Maharaj, who is the appointed vice principal. She's now acting as principal of Swaha Hindu College, doing a fantastic job, carrying on the good work of Swaha Hindu College, ably supported by middle management and the teachers. And in fact, the school has predominantly, right, Panagyan, they will know, it's about 75 to 80% female teachers, right? And it's a co-educational school. And these are the female teachers that have to mold young minds, not just girls, but boys also, young men. And they're doing a fantastic job. And I'm not just saying that as the, past, immediate past principal. It's a reality. And anyone who knows anything about Swahili College will tell you about the fantastic work that the teachers do, that the board is doing, but in particular, the female leadership. Apart from Ambika, you have there are two heads of department that are female. You have two deans, appointed deans also who are female. So that just tells you the extent of women leadership just there at the school. Even we look at the other institutions, the ECC centers, all right. Which ECC or which one of those preschools, as they were called before, do you know is normally headed by a man? It's always women. Whether it's their motherly instinct or that just love for children and wanting to help mold young minds and encourage them to do better, but it's women. All of the institutions led by women, all of the teachers, women. Even when you look at primary schools, the majority again are women, right? We have Swastika Prasad Dubey, who is now the administrator at Tulsi Manas Mandir. We have a prominent female, Mrs. Lalita Chirkut, who is a dean at Costard, right, Panajaidat. So we have a number of females in high positions within Swaha in terms of education. And we could go on, and it's not that we're only talking about ourselves or about Swaha only, but the reality is women are making a difference. And we are proud of the women that we have in Swaha. As I'm sure your viewers, in your own family, you may have some female who would have achieved some high standing in society, and it's something to be proud of, something to talk about and motivate others, especially young girls, to rise to the challenge and do better.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, if you go to look at the centers also, I mean, I can say for Swahagi and Jyoti Mandali, the leadership is really that of the females, right? They take up that responsibility. And it's not just to organize, etc. It goes beyond that. So a recent example is one of our treasurer, who was a past chairperson, Ms. Sandra Mohammed. We had to do a project where we had to redesign the entire roof. And we had to, remove the tires and redo the floor, etc. And, you may think that that is something a male will do. And she was the one who would have been the I don't want to say the contractor, but she would have been the project manager. And she was able to manage that project from beginning to end with minimal contribution from me as a spiritual leader. We sat, we spoke, she would find out, she would liaise with the contractor, she would find out prices, she would put all of that together. And at the end of the day, the temple looks completely different. And they would have learned the leadership, so much so that it is not a case again where the pundit will say, well, this is what we are going to do. And, they would just listen passively. And that's a good thing. So they are not disrespectful, but they would say, pundit, yes, I understand, but maybe you should consider this. Maybe you should consider that. This is what I know. This is what we may have done and seen in other places. And they bring that insight. And by so doing, to me, that is what leadership is about. Leadership is not passive, but leadership is active, where you actually understand and you know, and you demonstrate that, and you can rally persons around you. So that in our center, you have Andy Sandra, you have Vitra, you have Andy Gita, you have so many others, Andy Judy, and they have all been a live wire in that center. And then in addition to that, you have the younger ones who are coming up now. The children and the grandchildren of these individuals and these families who are also taking that leadership role. So that augurs well for the future. And then you also have the males who are doing their part, so that it is not the females are replacing the males, but in fact you have both male leadership and female leadership with respect being shown amongst each other. And that is a very positive sign for the future of our centers. So Panagyandev, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to contribute here.
Just to add that the weakness of men is not the weakness of the dharma. When men behave in this kind of way, where they abuse women and take advantage of women, that's not what is Hinduism preach. That's man's nature. So some people like to draw the conclusion that men abuse women and the religion calls it that. Man make a woman cook for him, the religion calls it that. The man keeps his wife in a certain way and the religion calls it that. That's not the religion. That is the man himself. Because Hinduism does not preach in any way or propagate in any way that women must be kept in the dark or used as slaves or used as servants. It is not so. Hinduism says that women have the rightful place, and this is not Hinduism alone. This is most world religions, civilized religions, where they put the woman next to them. The man and the woman moves together. They have a unity in purpose. So that Hinduism does not in any way condone the abuse of women. And people who do it, it is their weakness and their stupidity and their lack of character. Nowhere in scripture will find that. As a matter of fact, Swaha's name, the form, is a woman form deity. And one of the reasons why we established that, we will get into that later on, maybe this program, the other one, that the history of Swaha was formed. We wanted a name for the organization, but the Balang gave the name. And Swaha Devi was chosen because it represents womanhood. Womanhood is what brings about the civilized society. The Gita substantiates that in various places. The Ramayana substantiated. Sri Ram, part of his journey into the forest, was where he began liberating women. Sri Ram started from Ayodhya, going through the forest, end up in Sri Lanka and came back. Check and see the major driving force was to liberate women, start on the hill here, and then to liberate Sita from Lanka. So all is there for us. And we take one thing you have to bear in mind. Physically, a man might be stronger than a woman. That doesn't mean say he must abuse that. When I have a right to do something and don't do it, that is discipline. If I have a right to cuff you down and I don't do it, then that is discipline. So if a man is more powerful than a woman, generally speaking, all men are more powerful than women, and you prevent yourself from actually hitting them, from abusing them, then you are disciplined. But indiscipline is when you have power and you abuse it. You have the power of strength and you abuse it. They say might is right, not in Hinduism. Might must be controlled. That is what true discipline is all about. So Hinduism does not in any way take responsibility for the defects of men because of the ego and their physical strength.
Thank you, Pandit. And we have also celebrated Hanuman Jayanti in this period. And as you mentioned, that point about strength and rights, we can think about the example of Hanumanji. When he was awakened to his power, he grew the size of a mountain. We all know that beautiful katha. And then he asked Jamwant, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go into Lanka, bring back Sita, sink Lanka, destroy Ravan? And what was he told? That is, yes, you have the ability to do all of that, but that is not your responsibility. So as Panigyan was saying, that is supported and substantiated by, what we see in our katha, taken from Sri Ramacharita, where Hanumanji, though he had all of this power, he had all of this strength and might, that, he had that discipline to still, the humility firstly to ask what should be done, and that discipline, that all he could have done all of that, he was just required to perform one minute task. And that helps us support the point taken from scriptures. Now, Panditeshwar, I know that you are familiar with all of the wedding vows, and we spoke about this idea of men and women, Sri Ram and Sita, working together, living together, and sharing that sense of responsibility. And in the wedding vows, there are 7 conditions that the female would ask for. And within those conditions, there are many areas, many of those conditions that speak to, consulting and working together, etc. So maybe if you can, I know that you're very familiar with it. So maybe you can give us a little synopsis and to bring out the main points that show from the Hindu perspective where that equality is there within men and women.
No, definitely. So, Panaji, where they ask specifically, the wife is asking that, if the husband, wishes to do Pitri Agya, that she should join in that worship. If he decides to do social service, social work to help build a temple, community contributed to maybe building an orphanage or some sort of social service, that she be allowed to join in those activities. And this is something that's extremely important. And many people, we quickly go through it and it's quite boring for everybody. The pundit is talking, explaining, and people busy because they want many places they are eating in the back and no one is really taking on these vows. Maybe just the two people who are getting married and the pundits, right? But it's very significant because our, wonderful philosophers and great holy men, saints and sages and ancestors who would have crafted these vows, and we have been using them. So in different formats, of course, we have adapted it for our current situation. We explain it in English, of course. You want there to be some level of communication, collaboration between the husband and wife, between man and woman. It should not be where one person is always subservient to the other. And then even if the husband is returning late from work, they say if you're going abroad, you're going on a journey, you must get the permission of the wife. But likewise, you could be right here in Trinidad and you work in Cedrus and you're returning home 3-4 hours later. The mind wanders. So all sorts of thoughts enter the mind of an individual. Worry, stress, frustration. So consultation is important. Communication is important. And so these are just some. And then even at the end, both of them, the last one, the wife will say you have to be the Deota, the Bhagwan in the home. And likewise, the Dulaha will say to the Dulahin that you have to be the Lakshmi in the home, right? And they want that love and that relationship to be nurtured and that love to grow as they both advance in age. But it means for that, you have to have mutual respect. So the husband must respect the wife as a Devi, and the wife must respect the husband too as a Deota. And if you don't have that respect for each other, then you wouldn't live well. And then even on the one thing that, when we explain it from the husband's point of view, the Dulaha now, when he speaks about performance of the daily duties, household duties, right? Panigyandu, Panijay, that quite often people think, well, Hinduism is saying that you have to be subservient. No, they speak about household duties, and I like the way Panigyandu put it. It is because of their motherly instincts and their love. And there's a natural affinity to doing certain things, right? Whether it's tradition or whether it is come down where a mother, mother-in-law, grandmother telling the young Dulahin that she has to do it. But the reality is she will assist, she will support. But in today's society, things are different. So the husband has to assist. And many of our pundits know, many of our Swaha pundits will say there's shared responsibility. So it isn't a case. Sometimes the husband may be working at home or working from home, and the wife is working long hours in the office. Obviously, the husband has to pick up the slack and take up some of the household duties because the wife is actually working. And it's not that the husband is lazy, but maybe that's just it. After COVID, many jobs have remained online. So sometimes it's the flip side. Sometimes you see the husband having to drop the child to school and pack the lunch because the wife has to go early to work. So there must be shared responsibility. And this is something that's important. And it comes out of that. I will dwell on the last point, as I said, that respect for each other. If you respect the divinity in the wife, and the wife respects the divinity in the husband, you will treat each other with that high level of consideration that's important for a successful marriage.
Yes, Pandit. And one of the conditions also say that, if you have to borrow or to lend,
Yeah, to get
then
permission.
you get permission, you consult simply because a marriage in most cases is a legal contract. And
Yeah.
obviously any decision that is made by any one party binds the other party financially, so you can lose your home, the assets of your children, your family, if there isn't that level of, consultation, if one person decides that they're going to act unilaterally. And, our sisters, our mothers, our daughters, they're educated. Some so more than us. I'm sure that your daughter is probably brighter than you.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
Because as generations go by,
Yeah.
right? They are more and more intelligent, and therefore, we respect them, we respect their views. We may say that we are older, we have more experience. Yes, we have more experience in certain things. We can't allow them to just go liming anywhere in the middle of the night. You'll have to put down your foot in those instances. But where the opportunity comes, where they can shine, in various fields, educationally, in your career, etc. Of course, you don't put any blockages, but you allow them to go free. Um, but I understand that in the case of some parents, maybe it may be difficult because of the nature of our people and the tradition of our people to be very insulated. And I think we spoke about this, and maybe when it comes to Indian Arrival Day, we'll talk about it a little further. That we keep saying that we cannot be insulated, but at the same time accepted by society. And this is where we have to be sure that we guide our young ones, we guide our females, that you can be in the highest positions, but be mindful of who you are, be mindful of your identity, and respect yourself and respect where you came from. And that is important thing for both male and females, not just for the females alone. But we live in a society where becoming corrupted is easy. There's a lot of instances of not just domestic violence, but we have human trafficking of females, of children, etc. And therefore it becomes sometimes very, very imperative that we are careful in terms of the places we go. So you may find that the females are saying that you're restricting me. You're not allowing me to do anything. They may say that a parent, a husband, etc. But at the same time, we have to be mindful. While we want all of this, we need to be mindful of the reality in which we live. And again, I'll just tell persons, viewers, just go to the media, go to Loop TT, go to these various sites that are reliable, and you will see the type of dangers that exist out there. And we want to ensure that everyone, women, children, men, we are all protected from these harsh realities. So, Pandits, what I would like to ask, we spoke about Devi Ma, Navratri, and all of that. And, we have this form of Hanuman Baba, and Trinidad is very popular. We have the Dattatreya Center. They have built this wonderful Hanuman Murti, which is, I understand, is the largest in the Caribbean, in the Western Hemisphere, if I'm not mistaken. But it is something that is inspiring. It is something that is a symbol of our persons, just as in, I don't know which South American country, Pandadisho, you have the big Jesus Christ image that has become iconic now. You have the Statue of Liberty.
In Brazil, yeah.
In Brazil, you have the Statue of Liberty that is iconic. That certainly this Murti is iconic, and we may not realize it ourselves, but on various tourist sites, these things are featured, and people come to the country. Sometimes we don't know much about our own country, but others come to this country to visit those sites and to see this, and for them, it's a wonderful sight. And across the country, I know that certain places have 5 days or 7 days of celebration. You have Hanuman chanting, you have all of that is taking place. And all of that is an expression of love to Hanuman Baba. And we celebrate Hanuman Jayanti, the birth of Hanuman. So maybe we can talk a little bit about Hanuman Baba. Pandits, you choose your perspective, whether it's a social perspective, whether it's a religious, anything that you choose. And let's have a little discussion on that form of Pavanaputra Hanuman. So Pandadishwar?
So definitely, Pandaji, the reality is Hanumanji and the worship of Hanuman has become, has always been extremely popular in Trinidad. And it comes from that love that our ancestors would have had for the worship of Bajrang Bali. And coming from many of them from Uttar Pradesh, Bihar regions, other parts of India too, but primarily these two areas where worship of Sri Ram. So, we say worship of Ram, extremely important. Worship, the Panch Mahadevatas, we often hear Ganesh Baba, Devi Ma, Shankar Bhagwan, Satyanarayan, and Surya. Yes, that was always done. But our people predominantly, that worship of Prabhu Sri Ram, Sri Krishna, and in particular Hanumanji. So whether it's for strength, courage, they were seeking protection. Remember all the hardships that they faced in India and even coming across here. Our ancestors in the past, and as time advanced and generations, generation after generation came, that love for Hanumanji was nurtured. It was instilled in our people, especially the young men. Every young man wanted to be as strong and powerful and as brave and courageous as Hanumanji. And the message of Hanumanji and Bajrang Bali is always relevant, because when you look at it, he's strong, he's powerful, and I want to touch on what Panagyandev said. having all that strength and power, but knowing how to use it, when to use it, and not abuse the power that he had. So many of our young men, you are reminded of that. Hanumanji is humble, simple, and not humble to allow people to trample all over him and walk all over him. There's a kata where even Bhim couldn't even move his tail, right? In Mahabharata gives you that. So he wouldn't allow people to trample all over him. But at the end of the day, he was still humble. And you would see that. You always see him depicted head bowed, looking at the feet of the Lord. So recognize what is truly important. Treat others with respect. Treat others with, humility, with dignity. But be brave, be courageous. And this is a powerful message that we can learn from Hanuman Jayanti. And I think this is why generation after generation loves the worship of Hanumanji. Hanuman Jayanti is extremely important. First in Swaha, we see there are many large-scale celebrations at Diwali Nagar and other places in Trinidad and Tobago and throughout the world. And I want to encourage everybody, celebrate Hanuman Jayanti and worship Hanuman Jayanti in a very big way and meaningful way. When I say big, I don't necessarily mean in a lavish way, extravagant way, but let it be big. Let that feeling of devotion be big in your heart, in your mind for Bajrang Bali. Wanagyan
I want to just mention a few points in point form concerning Hanuman Baba. And I like the point you all made about the huge murtis all over the world. I just want to mention that when Sri Ram was going to do Yagya, he got a murti of Sita Mata. So the murti worship is, in my opinion, I will discuss that again. Who doesn't know, it means they're ignorant or they're just trying to play problematic. Murtis are reality in the world. Now, for Hanuman Baba, first, he is not a monkey, or was not a monkey. That is proven in the scriptures. Secondly, he was never married. Many people say Hanuman Baba have a child. Right, he maybe had a child, but there are different ways of procreation. There are asexual ways of procreation. The sweat is one. As a matter of fact, biologically speaking, that's how lice is forming here. Then Hanuman Baba was one of the devotees who had to face tremendous challenges, just like many Hindus in this country. Because of a belief, you have many challenges to face. Hanuman Baba stood up and burst his chest and showed, I have Sri Ram inside of me. That's what Hanuman Baba did. Many people want to go and see Sri Ram temple in Ayodhya. When in Trinidad, they don't stand up and say, I'm a Hindu. They don't stand up and say, I have Hanuman inside of me, I have Sri Ram inside of me. I'm fighting for something right here. But if you want to go to India and see the temple, fine. It's a good tourist attraction. And if you have devotion in your heart, you may say Sri Ram. Just like Tulsidas, he had devotion in his heart, and Hanuman appeared for him and guided him how to write the Ramayana. This is the role of Hanuman Baba, to guide us. Being a devotee who had to prove himself, he also stood up for the devotees who were looking for Sri Ram. So if you are looking for Sri Ram, worship Hanuman. And I don't believe in going, I don't go in and have a big crowd in let's say Shidras or Port of Spain or whoever and sing Hanuman Chalisa, that's fine. But get a Hanuman Chalisa and sing at home now. Do you sing a Hanuman Chalisa at home? Most of the time, these things have been used by people to bring following. So they say, oh, we had 5,000 people singing Hanuman Chalisa. We organized that. Let it take the fame, whatever. But what does it do for you? And from Ramayana, to really tap into divinity, you have to be still. This is something we'll talk about when we come to yoga and the body. That to really concentrate. Sutikshan Muni, all the great sages, when it sits still, Surudas, when it sits still, then God came within their hearts. Then they enjoyed divinity. I'm not condemning anybody, but when you jump up and synchronize dancing and raise a hand and jump up and go forward and go backward and place due devotion, that's not devotion, that's entertainment. And when you go about even Ramayana Yagya, you see people clapping and getting down. They're not doing devotion. That's exercise. You know, exercise, and then they enjoy themselves. The emphasis they may get, I know I can't judge on that. They may get blessing, who knows? But if you want to really experience God, sit by yourself. Krishna Bhagavan said that. Concentrate on your nose. Now, some of us Hindus, this is one reason why Hindus have big nose. Indians especially. It's easy to see a nose. In the Gita, Krishna Bhagavan said, look at the tip of your nose and concentrate on the third eye and repeat the mantras and you get benefit. So those who want to really benefit from Hanuman Baba's, blessings, sit home and repeat Hanuman Chalisa. And then continuously repeating. And he said again, shut a bar. By repeating 100 times, you'll see the difference. So it's on your home. You take that 100 days, or 1 day to do a few, and you'll experience divinity in Hanuman Baba. Now, Hanuman Baba was a devotee of Sri Ram. And finally, end with this, where he showed when Bibhishan gave that mala, very beautiful incident, which Pandits need to really read and explain to people properly. And it's simple, straightforward. There's no high philosophy. You have a mala, and if I ask you a question, why did Hanuman not see divinity in the mala? Sri Ram was sitting in front of him. Sita Mata was sitting there. He burst his chest afterwards to show you the inside of him. So he didn't have to look for Sri Ram in the mala. He was looking at it to see what is really. And this was a test for those present there. You have God in front of you, you're thinking about materialism. This is a pearl and a gem. And when he burst it, people got vexed. People got angry. Why destroying it? Why destroying it? Precious thing. And all the bhajan says, the good singer sing it, Ram Ratan Dhana Payo. Ram Ratan Dhana Payo. Payoji Maine. What did I get? What gem did I get? Ram Ratan, the gem of Sri Ram. So when Hanuman had the gem of Sri Ram with him, what gem he want? This is why straight away, that gem has no comparison to the gem of Sri Ram. So Hanuman gives us so many beautiful messages. We have to put across to our children and let them know. Read Hanuman Chalisa, explain it, understand it, and you will see the benefit. But do it privately. Go publicly, fine. That is for pride and for devotion and for motivation and so on. No problem on that. But important for your self-development, do it privately home. Get Hanuman. I am telling you, if you do Hanuman Chalisa, contact Jairat. He'll get one for you. What is it?
Yeah, Pandit. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, our whole prayer at home is important. We always say that. Praying as a family, praying as an individual. And then you also have these opportunities where you have large congregational prayer, chanting and all of these things, which, you know, it creates a vibration. And, you know, scientifically, Pandit Ishwar may be able to comment on this also. You know, it is proven that when you have a critical mass of persons who are chanting something together, you know, the area, I can't remember the radius, that vibration, it expands, and therefore, you know, persons in a community, they would benefit from that. And I know that, you know, when you read scriptures, you would have thousands of sages who would sit and they'll be performing Havan, etc. And all of those help to change weather conditions and get rid of negative vibrations and all of that. So yes, we do have, we do respect the type of work that others are doing to keep the name and to create the awareness of all of these various aspects of our dharma. But that is not a substitute for what we do in our homes, in our families, and most importantly, it comes down to us as individual. That we have to sit and connect with that spirituality. We have to connect with that divinity. And just before I pass upon the Ishwar to close of the program, you know, just on one point that Pandit Gyanu mentioned, that Hanumanji, though he was a bhakt of Sri Ram, that even when he was crossing the ocean, he had to face many challenges. And when you look at those things, you know, not just the katha, but a lesson, a life lesson, because everything teaches us a lesson. It doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter how devoted we are. Every single one of us, we have to face challenges in life. And when Hanuman, he was met with challenges in the form of Sudasa, etc., his approach was what? He didn't run away from it, he didn't hide from it, but he faced it head on. And once you have that strength and that blessings of Hanumanji and all of the forms of divinity, then whatever the challenges in life, we are able to overcome those. So for me, at least, you know, that is my takeaway from this whole period of Hanuman Jayanti and this entire auspicious period from which we just came. So Pandit Ishwar, you can give your final thoughts and you can close off the program first.
Thanks, Panditji. So, and the thing is, Hanumanji, we talk about Panchmukhi, the 5 states of the mind. You often hear that. And this is something that many of our pundits within Swaha, many pundits in general, and many of you would have read, you know, as one of the symbolism of Bajrang Bali, the 5 states of the mind, you know. And without going into too much detail, I want to state that at the end of it, what are we really hearing when we look at Hanumanji? He is that one who can teach us to discipline our mind, discipline our very being. So we learn to develop, we rising from one level to the next, from that mind that is, raving, oscillating, changing, one day you want to do the right thing, tomorrow somebody encourages you to do something wrong and you easily fall for it. But we move up the ladder of spirituality. As we rise, consciousness also rises. And we become more and more disciplined. We become more in tune with divinity, with going towards Prabhu Shri Ram, Ram Ki Kripa, the grace of Prabhu Shri Ram. This is what we want. And we are moving, as you are moving from, those lower levels to a mind that is more disciplined, that becomes one-pointed, until eventually we reach to that state of mind that's restrained in its thinking. And this is where, just as our pundits have been saying here, all sorts of things could be happening around you, but you can sit quietly, you can read your Hanuman Chalisa, you can sing your Hanuman Chalisa, you could be in a large crowd with thousands of people also chanting, and you bask in the glory of, the wonderful vibration that you experience. But even if you're in negative situations like Vibhishan, the tongue between the 32 teeth, as he put it, in Lanka, you are still able to rise up manfully, stand up, and do what you have to do, because you have that restrained thinking, that discipline in your mind. And you get it from the worship of Hanumanji. Hanumanji is incidentally the Ekadas Rudra, the 11th form of 11 Rudra, then form of Bhagwan Shankar. And Pandagyan, talking about the checking the Ratnamala, breaking it open and looking for some semblance of Prabhu Shri Ram. That is vairagya, vairagya, that spiritual dispassion, because you're not attracted by all that is glittering and shining and glamorous. You want something that is more substantial, something more permanent. In other words, Hanumanji is displaying to us, that attitude of Vairag that we need to develop. And he is Bhagwan Shankar, 11th form of Bhagwan Shankar. So there's a link there. So that is the discipline that one can develop from worshiping Hanumanji. So you may see, yes, there's a fun aspect of it. Ram Leela, there's the beauty of Bajrang Bali, the strength and courage and the attraction, natural attraction to someone who's like a superhero for young children growing up. But at the end of it all, it is that humility, that simplicity that will develop in you. And very importantly, disciplined mind that will take you towards achieving whatever goals you have in life. So I encourage our devotees to worship Bajrang Bali. And if you want to do more and learn more, of course, I encourage you. Get involved in our different centers. There are celebrations for Hanuman Jayanti throughout our Swaha network, right? All the temples, all the centers, the schools also will be recognizing Hanuman Jayanti in a significant way. We also have, of course, the Ramayana singing competition that I mentioned. And I know for a fact that at least 2 temples are doing chaupas dedicated to Hanumanji, where the name of Hanumanji and Bajrang Bali will be featured, or the episodes, beautiful kathas will be featured prominently. So come out and support your temples. Join the various groups that are worshiping together, and we are growing together, right? This is what I want to say. So on behalf of Swaha, as a one of the pundits here, the Swaha Hindu perspective, and then also as the president of Swaha, I want to wish each and every one of you Shubh Navratri again as we come to the end of Navratri. I wish you all the best for Ram Janam, Ram Navami. Celebrate in a wonderful way. And Shubh Hanuman Jayanti too. Happy Hanuman Jayanti to each and every one of you. We join together. Closing prayers, we focus upon Bajrang Bali. In our minds, Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. ओम प्रणव पवन कुमार खलबन पावक ज्ञान घन जासु हृदयागार बस ही राम शरचाप धर ओम श्री हनुमते नमः ओम श्री सीतारामचंद्राय नमः बोले सियापति रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय स्वाहा माता की जय सीताराम devotees